We made it to 20. This is insane. Huge thanks to everyone who's been supporting the channel. And we have our guest today, Julien Cantelm. Julien, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just kind of, you know, rolling with this right now. It's great.
Yeah, we were just talking earlier. You said you just woke up. This is good.
Yeah, I got about an hour in me.
All right, all right.
Yeah,
Are you a coffee guy?
I am, and you know what? I'm drinking it right now. It's not totally full. It's kind of like, a quarter full.
So you're well into your coffee. That's good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, man, it's a pleasure to have you on the stream. It's been quite a year for us all. I'm curious to know what's been filling your bucket lately, man. What's been fun in your life, or what has been occupying your time?
Huh. Well, I guess it's gone through some transitions. Like the first half of the whole pandemic thing, I kind of refound surfing, and I was surfing a whole bunch for I don't know the first half at least for a good 6 or 7 months, and then once winter hit, I kind of fell off of it, and the time shifted. I was mostly doing evening sessions, and um, man, it was really good. Like just having the extra time to do some other stuff outside of the crazy, hustle gig stuff, which is awesome too. It's like a
Hmm,
great thing. Um,
very cool.
to be able to play with people. And yeah, I don't know what else. I guess just kind of miscellaneous, you know, remote work stuff and some writing, some shedding, some kind of just trying different things.
Absolutely. Do you
Lot.
you say you've been writing some music? Huh?
Yeah, I've been writing I kind of it's either like old ideas that I've had that never fully were developed, or just kind of writing and maintaining stuff a little bit every single day. And I mean, you know how it is. You're a writer. It's like some things just kind of, well, I don't know how it is for you, but for me, some things kind of just come right away. And I got this, idea that just kind of flows and leads to the next things. And then other times it's just like, man, it takes months or even a year to finish something.
Bro, tell me about it. Yeah, I just, I don't mean to brag here, but I wrote a song this morning. It was
Awesome.
in just like a fit of like I need to write something, and I
Awesome.
love and hate that when I'm put under this type of pressure, that's when stuff comes out because it's not a very
Mm,
comfortable place to be for me, at least. To I guess to put it like super super low key, it's just like, man, I wish I could just relax and write.
yeah.
But
Like, was it something you were asked to do? Like you were
well,
forced to write something, or?
so yeah, it's we're having new jazz trio, the trio today. My
Oh,
jazz trio is rehearsing today,
awesome.
and Mac put forth, hey, we should all write something new, because we're playing a show next week, next Sunday
Mm-hmm.
at John Brooks' house.
Cool.
Um, and I'll talk more about that in the drum news here. But yeah, and so we're just writing new songs, or we're trying to write new songs. So yeah, it's really important for us to, I don't know, keep that going. Keep the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes the initiation to force yourself to do it. Even if you don't have a deadline, it's like you got to visit with it and, stretch
Right.
like you would yoga or meditation. It's a practice. You got to regularly visit it with drums, shedding, all that stuff. I mean, we all know it, even though we don't always uh, follow what we know
Right.
that we got to do. Um, but yeah, I guess I've never really written in that way that you're saying, like, okay, I have to do this for a band, or I'm getting like, asked to write for, a score or something for, whatever, some themed thing. It's always come from like I'm in this headspace, and something's inspiring either directly or indirectly, or I have dreams and I end up hearing music, and I wake up like humming or hearing melodies and structures, chords, and
Whoa.
sometimes it happens really quick, and I'm just like, it comes out, and I have this uh, world of things happening or energy that I just want to put out. And then sometimes just like, oh my God, I got nothing. I'm just like, I'll
Yeah,
sit
coming
down.
up
That's when
empty.
I'm just like, yeah, exactly. But even if you just sit down and maintain and go through old stuff, things pop up again. And, yeah, but I've been bad about, I was saying before, I've been bad about like, sharing stuff and really recording it and documenting it. It's always been like, oh, let's just go into the studio and record this really fast. It's just this like alter ego, idea outside of the drum world stuff that I do.
Yeah.
And even if it's rough and, and raw, I'm just like, whatever. It's
Sure.
did it.
So for everyone that's here so far, I know we got a couple people in the chat already. I posted up Julian's Instagram. It's Julian G Music. Go check that out. He's got a great curation of interesting things on his page. Julian, you're also
Cool.
we'll get into this in a second. For a sec though, I do want to go keep on schedule here. Let's go to the drum news. Unfortunately, my sounds are not working today, so we don't have my thing. As you noticed, if anyone's saying, Matt, you have a really different background today, what's going on? I'm at my parents' house in San Diego, and broadcasting from my childhood room, which is no longer my childhood room. It's the studio, which is tight. My dad is a musician, and so he's got a nice turn my room into the studio. But yeah, if you're here in the chat, let us know. Let us know where you're from, and say hey to Jules. And so yeah, drum news. Let's see. I think the biggest drum news for me locally here is that my band Juicebox is going to be playing the San Diego County Fair, which is now called the Homegrown Fun Fair. Every Wednesday. Whoa.
Sorry.
Wednesday through Sunday, y'all, at the San Diego County Fairgrounds, Del Mar Fairgrounds, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're going to be playing a lot of my original music and a lot of arranged music. That's going to be really friggin' fun. Julian, you got any drum news? You got any news that's coming out?
Any news, like gig related stuff?
Or gossip?
Or gossip. I guess I can plug. I'm playing on this Thursday, just like a short gig at this place called TBS Tavern. It's in Mission Valley, and that's with Louis Valenzuela and Sean Hickey. I haven't seen him in ages, and I just hit him up, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm down. Let's do it."
Oh, cool.
So,
Sean Hickey, yeah. Oh, Thomas Meyer in the house.
Nice. And I don't know what else. Drum gossip. I mean that is a
that's a hot topic.
That's a wide. I don't know. Sometimes I'll go down the little social media rabbit holes and just kind of scope in on drummers that inspire me. And last night I saw this really silly video of Chris Dave just like totally eyeing Eric Harland like right next to him. Eric was playing, I forget who he was playing with, but Chris Dave is just like looming over him, just totally making him feel awkward. You could tell. And like Chris Dave's poker face is just ridiculous,
Man. Well, they're from the same town, right?
I think so.
They're both from Houston. They went to the same high school, I think.
Yeah, I think they may have even studied from the same peeps. But I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know what other drum stuff. The gossip. That's where I fall off sometimes. I'm like, I don't.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Gossip isn't hardly ever true, but it's always fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, a little truncated drum news this week, but we'll be back with some bigger drum news next week for everyone who's going to be here. So yeah, Julian, let's kind of get right into you, man. Let me think. We've known each other for a while. Now that I think about it,
It's
but
been a long time.
I remember
Yeah.
when I first found out of your name. It was I saw you playing with Peter Sprague,
Oh, crazy.
and that was at this point when I was like, man, I want to play with Peter Sprague.
Yeah.
Who's his drummer? And that's how I found you. And, and I know because I know Duncan was his drummer, is his drummer really.
Yeah,
But when I
totally.
saw someone else playing with Peter that wasn't Duncan, I was like, oh shoot, who's this guy? And I
Yeah.
had never like, I don't know, like to me, you appeared out of thin air, and I'm like, oh man, who's this guy? And then I dove into everything that Danny Green trio. I realized, and I think after further investigation, I know you played with flamenco guitarist Dusty Bro, and you've had a
Yeah.
pretty good stint in the Brazilian world with this flautist. What's her name?
Rebecca Kleinman.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you've played a couple of gigs up there at the Blue Whale, and you've done a lot of touring
Yeah.
with Dusty and other groups. But also you have your own project, and you have this project called Abnormal Mammal, which you've
Mm-hmm.
dubbed Abnam, which is great, great, and so. Oh, to which I should have mentioned this. In Abnormal Mammal, you play guitar and sing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of
So
the alter,
you,
the alter ego.
I would dub you a multi instrumentalist at this point, and also you're a
Right on.
teacher, you're an
Mm-hmm.
educator, um, very well rounded gigging musician here. I think as anyone that should aspire to be something like Julian here.
Oh,
So.
Matt, thanks, dude. It's like seriously, right back at you, man.
Well, bro, you have so many accolades and so many different roads I want to go down today. But
Sure.
first, maybe we can just start off talking about where you grew up, what brought you to music, and
Cool.
yeah, let's just start there. How'd you start? What happened?
Um, Man, so I guess I grew up around music and mostly on my father's side of the family. Um, but I was born in Miami, and then I lived on in the middle of like Florida, pretty much on a
You're a
farm.
Florida man?
Yeah, I was born there,
Dang.
and then I grew up, or I lived on a farm in Ocala for like 16 months, and it's really weird because like as a toddler, everyone's always like, oh, you never remember stuff from back then, but I kind of like have vivid memories. I don't know if I'm just made it up or something, but I have vivid memories of like the smells of this farm and seeing stuff, hearing my mom's voice, and then as we moved to Pennsylvania, which is where my father's side of the family's all from, and
Hmm.
they're all orchestral musicians. My uncle that passed, my father's older brother, is or was the bassist in the Pittsburgh Symphony. So I kind of grew up listening to classical music, and my aunt played orchestral stuff too. And my father was a percussionist, drummer, but not like professional full time. Um,
Hmm.
so I just kind of grew up around it, either classical or jazz stuff. But I didn't. I played violin when I was like a kid for a few years, and then I totally put it down, and I didn't really take to any instruments again. I just played, you know, sports and did gymnastics and martial arts and all this stuff. And but I always kind of like knew that music was going to be there. Like there was never any question of like if I'm going to love it, even as a kid.
Hmm.
And then I found uh, guitar. I started playing guitar when I was like 11 or so, and was really into like a bunch of different stuff at that age in elementary school. Do you remember a band called Us Three? Do you know of
No,
that band?
no. What's that?
It's like northeast like jazz hip hop. It's like an early. You've definitely heard them. They're kind of like a Tribe Called Quest or something like that.
Okay.
But they would sample all this old like Charlie Parker and Miles stuff, and um, I was just always stoked on the drumming and all this this
Mm-hmm.
records. And then I was listening to a lot of like alternative rock and Green Day and like um, Soundgarden and all this sort of different stuff.
Damn, Lou's in
And,
the
and I
chat.
oh
Lou's here.
oh oh
Just
geez,
blowing it up, dude.
oh my goodness.
Jesus, Lou, look at those emotes, baby. Um, so yeah,
And
go
then
on.
yeah, and then I picked up guitar and I started learning like Nirvana songs by ear and like just funny stuff. And then I think about a year later, I got into drums. Actually, I had taken one guitar class, and I was like, I don't really like this. I didn't like the nature of the guitar class or the lesson that I took of just like, oh, this guy's showing me these chords um, and I just didn't like the tonality of it or something. I don't know what it was. Maybe I was just like a jackass rebellious little kid and I just wanted to do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah,
But something
absolutely.
like steered me away from wanting to like study uh, guitar at an early age, and I just immediately went to drums and started kind of just teaching myself to play. And I was still playing guitar, but it was always compositional. I would never like after I learned a few songs, I was just like, oh, I don't want to learn. It doesn't feel right playing other people's music like on this chordal instrument. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna explore and develop my ear or just see whatever is giving me an emotional response that
Hmm.
like feels honest.
So
It
you,
was
you
this.
mentioned, let me stop you. You mentioned
It's
before
okay.
that you kind of knew that you were going to be a musician at a very young age. Is that correct?
Yeah, not necessarily like that I was gonna do it for a living or something. I just knew that music was going to be a part of my life. I
Uh huh.
didn't know how at the time until I got into my teens and I was realizing how much of like an outlet and a friend it was to me, and like
Yeah.
how I just had this affinity for it. And I just felt a connection. It's just like one of those things that you're doing where you just feel like it's right.
Yeah. And did you get that feeling with all music, or did you get that feel? Do you like? Can you pinpoint it for us? Maybe like, was it a certain moment, or was it a year, or was it an eight, like a
Hmm.
like? Do you know what I mean? Like, was it on the drums? Was it through playing this guitar or something, or was it just
Yeah, I think
something you
kind of.
just realized?
Yeah, I think it's kind of all the above. I think like as a listener, um, you know, when I was in high school, I was kind of going through weird stuff, and I left home when I was 15 pretty much, and I bounced around friends' houses,
Oh
and
wow.
music was always a crazy friend and inspiration for me to like keep me um, grounded and stoked. And I was playing in punk rock bands and
Of course.
ska bands and progressive rock stuff, and I was playing shows at that age. So whenever I'd be on stage and or listening to music that I was just like really inspired by, I'd always be like, oh, this is what it's about. This is a big part of what life is about, and the experience
Right.
of experiencing something that kind of transcends all these like weird political or financial or whatever, all these conditions that we've kind of like grown up into, which are all have pros and cons to, but just one of those things that's like, oh shit, this is one of those human experiences that transcends anything. This is like a part of what makes reality reality or inspires me,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
people, I think. So um as a listener, I would experience that with music. As performing, I would experience that, and it happens in other places too, in meditation or other things. But I think that headspace was a big deciding factor when I was like conscious of it, as opposed to being a kid, like just knowing like, oh yeah, my family's has musicians in it, and
Hmm.
and I just feel good from this sort of thing. I think those things of being on stage and experiencing it or listening were big factors of like, oh, in my teens where I was like, oh damn, this is a turning point. And it still happens now, you know, when you're on a session or jam sessions and everyone's just like totally vibing. Everyone's like in this, you know, I don't know, just crazy
flow
alternate
state.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing, you know. Um, but yeah, music, you know, in that sense too, kind of saved me. I was it's funny, I don't like kind of like dropping names or anything like that, but when I was in high school, one of the punk rock bands I played in was called Doomsday Pop, and both the guys were, well, one of the guys, Garo Gallo, was 10, 12 years older than me. So I was just like, you know, between 15 and 18, and we were playing in fucking like dive bars, you know, like just like total raucous, ridiculous punk rock bars in South Florida.
Yeah.
And Eric Andre, the now like world known fucking comedian actor, was the bass player for that group.
Dang.
And we all went to high school or neighboring high schools. He lived in Deerfield and Boca, and I was in Fort Lauderdale. We were like 15 minutes away, and then Garo was in Fort Lauderdale too.
Wow. How'd you guys all meet?
Man, how did we meet? How PC is this channel? Am I allowed to just say kind of whatever?
Yeah. It's however you want to present, man. It's good with me.
Okay, so the way we met was Garo so I can't believe I'm gonna get into this, but
only if you want, bro.
My mom, you know, bless her, I love her. We have crazy differences. I haven't seen her in many, many years because of just psychological stuff. She's has had a really rough life, but she lost her hand in a car accident, and she would smoke pot for like medicinally. It was one of the only things that would like relieve her pain, and she didn't want to take pharmaceuticals and all this stuff. So the guitarist had freaking weed connections. So
cool.
Yeah, exactly. She met him, and he was more or less, you know, her weed supplier.
Got it.
And I connected with him because I was this like teen kid, you know, practicing drums, and I liked all the music that he was writing, and he could see it. So we ended up just kind of linking up through that. And he was already playing punk rock shows and doing all this stuff, and Eric was part of that scene too. He'd always be out on the town and checking shit out, even underage. We'd all go to Warped Tours together and go see all these different, you know, punk and ska and rock bands. And we just ended up starting playing and partying together. And then there was a couple other people, a drummer and guitarist, this guy Shay Eshin, who's great. And he does all types of stuff. But yeah, that was like a huge part of my just like finding myself as a musician and like experiencing what it means to just like have this raw liberation through music.
Sure.
You know. And Eric was just like always super, he was at least from what I can see now, I haven't stayed in touch with him other than like random little social media comments or something, but man, he was always like that as a kid. We'd throw these, or as teens, we'd throw these warehouse parties. Garo lived in a warehouse, and we would build like little mini ramps and have little stages and host these like just basher fucking you know 5,000 square foot warehouse parties, and it would pay for his rent, and we would all just like rage. And Eric would fucking get naked on stage and like just do ridiculous shit, you know.
Right.
And it was just a party. I was like, oh my god, I love this.
So
this is what it's about.
You were like, you said you were significantly younger or a little bit younger than these people. I'm naked right now.
Garo, the guitarist, I was significantly younger. I was like 10 to 15 years younger, and then Eric was a few years older than me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I think that's such an interesting part of like the Julien story to me. You know, I knew you've told me that before, but I never heard it like how you just said it. You know, that's very it just makes the world all small. You know,
Totally. Yeah,
so
it's a trip, man. I mean, I miss some of those kind of experiences and the stuff I saw kind of growing up, and in a lot of ways, as hard and crazy as that shit was, it was like a blessing. I was like 16 and I had a studio the size of my garage and efficiency I was just living in
yeah,
South Florida, and I graduated high school and doing all that music stuff, and I just left. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to San Diego. I want to surf and do music on the West Coast, and I was just like over South Florida at that point. Eric had left and he went to Berkeley, and then he said, "Fuck playing music. I'm gonna become a comedian."
right.
And Garo's still down in South Florida, just like rocking his scene.
Cool. So if I get the timeline right, you graduated high school. You're 17 or 18,
Yeah,
and then that's when you moved to SD.
yeah. 2003, I graduated, and then I stayed there for almost a year. Came to San Diego in '04, and I just like the second I got here, I was just trying to figure out the music stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
just like totally was living a surf bum lifestyle, and had a place, and was kind of just like working, doing random shit. For a little while I was doing like just computer assembly, like before it got really popular. I would just like kind of independent contract freaking building computers
So
for
like
like.
building computers for people.
Exactly.
Whoa.
And like doing techish sort of stuff, and then it became super saturated and made it like so everybody could do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I just stopped doing that and slowly started teaching some drums and then taking lessons, and I linked up. Do you know the drummer Jesse Charnow? Have you ever
Yeah.
heard of him?
Yeah. Yeah. He moved up to the Bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was like a huge inspiration and like person that really got me started in San Diego. I met him at an open mic, and I was playing guitar and singing like weird indie shit.
Right.
And um, he came up to me, and we just kind of hit it off, and just about rhythm stuff. And he asked me, because of my guitar playing, if I was a drummer, and he like saw it right away. I was like, yeah, that's I am the drummer actually. And we kind of hit it off from there, and he like linked me up with some different groups he was playing with, and I would kind of sub for him. And he hooked me up with this guy, Tim Shea. Have you ever
Mm-mm.
heard of him?
Mm-mm.
He's a drummer that was teaching a lot, and he studied under this guy named Richard Wilson, who's an
Okay.
LA guy. And Richard taught Vinny Colaiuta and like Carlos Vega, all these like
Oh
really
wow.
insane drummers. And I kind of through Jesse and Tim um, learned a lot of Richard's teachings. And he had unfortunately, right before I was going to start studying directly with Richard, he passed. And I kind of just picked up a lot of like my technique stuff, and just kind of like introductions to kind of higher learning with like Latin and jazz, and
Mm-hmm.
um, just kind of how to decode stuff, through those guys. And then Jesse introduced me. At the time, he was playing with Anushka Shankar, Ravi Shankar's daughter,
Yeah.
and he introduced me to a lot of the Indian classical stuff. I got to meet Ravi and go to their house a handful of times and kind of like sit in and audit
Whoa.
their sessions. And Ravi was like amazing.
Can you can you
Soup.
can you
What?
pause there and like maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm just because I studied tabla for a long time, so I'm very interested in this part of the
Sure.
story. What was it like? Did you how close were you at that session? Was it like a one time thing, or did you go over there multiple times because Jesse was playing with Anushka?
Yeah. Well, it was a couple of different situations. Like with the the times with Anushka, it was always like very casual. It was just like party hang scene.
Yeah.
We would just kind of be hanging, and maybe some music would happen.
Mm-hmm.
The few times I went to Ravi's, it was always like I would walk in, and there would be a very formal greeting, like
Right.
Jesse, and
Right.
then and these other guys, Seth and Leo, and Kevin Cooper was also part of a new group
The bassist?
at a point. The bassist, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of, you know, we all kind of linked up through these connections, but
Wow.
it was very, very formal. And like Ravi would always be like, no, don't, bow down and, you know, kiss my feet sort of thing, like just
Yeah.
handshake. He was always just like trying to uh, just be normal about it,
Sure. Sure.
And so my experience was always just kind of in the background through osmosis, seeing him either teaching a class or um, just the interaction. And most of the actual like learning came from my own curiosity after the fact of like trying to remember the stuff that he's showing and or the stuff that Jesse's working on because he was playing tabla and he'd show me stuff too um, and it was pretty much like that. It was just like, oh my god, this I'm with around these people and it's sparking all this inspiration and I'm kind of like slowly picking stuff up like you would in a language. You go to a different country, you just start understanding the language. After a little while, you start thinking in that language
Yeah.
when you immerse yourself in it. So I kind of feel like it was like that sort of vibes and just listening to his records and started to get into a lot of the Zakir Hussein stuff and um, yeah. And then I realized later, like as much as I love it, I still have some tablas up there, but that it was just such an insane practice,
Sure.
that like uh, I didn't love it enough to like make a big commitment to like playing tabla, like Indian classical music. So I ended up just kind of developing like the rhythmic concepts and ideas and this kind of like headspace on a likely very surface level that inspired me to apply it behind the kit or guitar or just try to make it my own in a way.
Yeah. Man, I think that's so cool. Just got to meet Ravi Shankar and his daughter. Damn.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't know you studied tabla.
Yeah,
So
a
with
little
Jesse,
bit.
I'd assume, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and just kind of played like it wasn't anything extremely diligent or like you know I'm not a crazy tabla player at all. Like I said, it was just an outlet to broaden my scope.
Yeah. Man, we should play sometime.
I'm super down.
That'd be super fun.
When I was playing with Dusty Bruff, the Kelp Giant stuff and Therian Throat stuff,
right.
Miles Shrewsbury, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'd play together. I mean, he's legit. He's like a fucking epic tabla player,
Yeah. Yes.
So, and we've actually kind of recently reconnected a little bit again, trying to get together. And I'd love to, man. If you ever want to work on that stuff, I mean.
Oh yeah, man. Let's do it. That'd be fun.
That shit's crazy.
That'd be fun. Do you have stuff written down from your Jesse lessons?
And probably somewhere.
Oh man.
I'd have to search through some books.
You gotta dig those up.
Yeah.
Wow. So okay. So let's keep with the timeline here. This is a great story, man. I'm loving it so far.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. So you get to San Diego, you're surfing, you start studying, and then I'm assuming this is when music becomes a layer deeper when you get through studying with people like Jesse and you have experiences like going to Ravi's house and you have So like, what was your first? Maybe this might go back in time a little bit, but what was your first maybe like what if I said like mainstay in San Diego? Like, who were the people that you were playing with when you started coming out here, or maybe a little after? What was happening?
So in the whole like timeline of going to open mics and singing and playing guitar and meeting people, I started seeing different indie scenes, and I went through Craigslist at the time, like it was like MySpace or whatever back then. Like there wasn't a very crazy social media thing. So I
Hmm.
would look up people on Craigslist and try to like connect with different bands, go to websites and just see like, oh, who's looking for, a drummer. So I started kind of playing with different jam band related stuff, some jazz stuff. And then actually, who I linked up with is John and Jared Matson. Do you know them, the Matson twins?
No. Who are they?
They're these kind of killing like jazz players. They study at UCSD with Kamau and Mark Dresser, and
Okay.
um, they lived in Encinitas, I think. But they're these the Matson twins,
Right.
um, or Matson Two. Their
Oh, I've
band's
heard.
called.
I've heard that. Wow.
Yeah, so that's John and Jared, a guitar and drummer, and they played with this ex-professional skateboard dude Ray Barbie, I think his name was,
Okay.
and they toured the world. They got like huge. This professional skater dude wrote, you know, all this like surf rock stuff, and the Madsen twins would back him up, and then they went and started doing their own duo thing. But uh, I played with some jam bands, and then I linked up with the Madsen twins, and we kind of would just shed together. And then there's this bassist named Akash Israni, who is have you ever heard of the band Dawn of Midi? I think their name was.
Yeah.
So he's the bassist, or was the bassist in that group, and he
Wow.
studied at UCSD with Mark, and we linked up and played a bit together, and just kind of connected. And then he took off and went, I think, to Europe or somewhere and started studying over there. But he and the Madsen two and Jesse um, were kind of people I would play with and jam with, and some big inspirations. And then Akash introduced me to the Bad Plus back then, and
Hmm.
that was like a big turning point for like just getting kind of like inspired by this punk rock sort of jazz
Sure.
weird music. And he was friends with them. That was like, I got to meet them because every single time they come to town, his family, their Indian family, they would host um, Dave and Ethan and
Read.
Reed. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're,
Wow.
they're
Damn. UCS. So you kind of got engulfed in the UCSD hang,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
and
And
that's
I'd
a
have
deep hang.
classes and shit.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's sick,
Yeah,
man.
it's crazy. So like through them, yeah, I got to meet Kamau and Mark and Dave, um, and kind of started playing with some of with Kamau, and just getting into this whole kind of scene and faculty, and kind of going back. Before that, I was playing with this jam band called Torpedo Betty, and
Cool.
they, I had kind of like started playing a lot out with them, and we'd play shows at the Belly Up. I think our like one of the bigger shows is we opened up for John Schofield when he was
Oh
doing his
wow.
Ray Charles tour. Yeah, it was cool. It's like some horn section and bass guitar, keys, and that was a rad little outlet. But yeah, going farther forward,
Hmm.
I started playing at the Miracosta Latin Jazz Orchestra uh,
Cool.
or setup, and that was kind of like a huge thing too. And I started playing with Kevin Freeby in that group, and Steve Haney, JP Dietrich, and who else was in that group? Kirk Portuguez was in that group,
Hmm.
um,
Was Kirk
and
playing percussion?
he was, and he started in that group like the last year that I was in the group. I played in it for like 2 or 3 years probably, and we did some kind of crazy gigs. We played with like Sheila E. and Pete Escovedo would come down because the trumpeter Mario Gonzalez was Pete Escovedo's MD, his like musical director. So we kind of
Cool.
like had this cool connection, and we'd do these concerts every now and then with
Wow.
them. And
What
yeah,
what
there's
year
some
is this?
shit. What year? That was like between 2010 and 12, I think,
Okay.
or maybe 2009 and 11.
Wow.
Somewhere in that zone. And
Man, this is insane. There's,
yeah,
yeah, I always think about like what happened between 2007 and 2012 in SD because I wasn't really here.
right.
I was going to Fullerton. So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
for
man, a
me,
lot of
that's
stuff.
was part of it.
A lot of stuff happened. It's
A
great.
lot of totally
And I was like tromboning at that time.
right. That's fucking rad though, dude.
It was
That's
cool. It
amazing.
was cool. But
Yeah.
okay. So enough about me here. Uh, man. So okay, this is sick, man. I love it. I love hearing the Jules story here. Um, so were you playing only drums in all these ensembles, or did you ever get to play guitar in any of these earlier bands?
I was pretty much playing only drums, unless it was like stuff outside of these groups. Like I had this indie group, it's kind of indie rock group called Privet, and I was on the first album, and a lot of that, some of it maybe was. I would be playing drums and I was singing a little bit in the group too, playing drums and singing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Privet.
they yeah, Privet.
Okay.
They're cool. It's kind of like pinback ish, uh, just kind of like yeah, it's like pinback grizzly bear sort of vibe.
Totally.
Um, so so some of that stuff was inspired maybe with my guitar playing and co-writing with everybody, but it was for the most part I was always playing drums for all these groups, even if it was stuff that I had a hand in writing.
Mm-hmm.
And with Dusty too, we lived together and we write a lot of stuff together and both inspired the shit out of each other. But I was always playing drums in those settings,
Got you.
Um, and yeah, I mean that would have been sick to play guitar in those, but you know, I wasn't gonna pretend like I would be better suited for that on guitar. That was, and even now, like I'll transcribe and like learn some jazz stuff and like Julien Lage and Gilad Hexelman and Matthew Stevens, like all those guys are huge inspirations for me as far as guitar goes, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't hang with that shit. I can't play, that stuff. I can figure out their tunes, but I'm not like a shredding guitarist. So I'm not yeah. I don't think I'd have to really like work on that stuff to be able to go hang at, sessions and play live outside of my own just compositional tools, and like
Sure.
writing my own music.
I think I have a lot of respect for like, not, I don't know, like the multi instrumentalists that aren't just going out there and like taking three axes with them and being like, yo, I'm gonna play all three tonight at this jam or some shit, or like
Yeah.
it's really you're using it for your means, with like especially with all the abnormal mammal stuff too. Like it's funny. Like maybe we can kind of go into the abnormal mammal stuff and zoom out and zoom in somewhere else. I always go back to the that one night at the Campanile when
Oh yeah.
when we were playing. You were playing something, and I don't think I had really still like known like who you were at that point, but I remember you were playing some sweet guitar, and I was just so happened to be on the kit. And,
yeah, I remember that because we were having those Tuesday night jams.
Yeah. And
it was so
just sick. I just remember it like locking so hard, and I don't know.
I remember that, man.
And it's funny because when when and I'll shout out Lou here too when he shows me the treasure maps as he calls them of the abnormal mammal stuff. Like I don't remember ever like feeling it in any crazy rhythm. I think what's my favorite part about your compositions in particular is that they're so melodically driven and there's no, it's not like you're trying to write it in an odd time, but the melody is strong enough that it fits in this frame of space. Would that be correct or?
Totally, man. Like, and I think a lot of the music I personally gravitate towards too is in that realm. Like whenever I write stuff, it's never to be tricky or to be like,
Of course,
you know,
to be hard.
in this, yeah, even if it's sometimes it is challenging, like sometimes the music, it takes me time to develop it and figure it out, and I also think that's part of like my own evolution and becoming better, is I would always kind of hear and write things that maybe some of it is a little bit out of my ability, or comfort zone, but
Hmm.
you drill it and you figure it out and you allow it to evolve. It's not like some fucking thing that totally inspires you just necessarily comes out right away. So I think, yeah, I think in that aspect, it's like, yeah, a lot of these tunes just end up being very melodically driven and like very, just like a certain headspace, and emotion that I'm trying to create rather than like Lexi's right here.
Yo,
Say
Lex.
hi, Lex.
Okay.
Say hi to the stream.
So I gotta get another thing.
Best
Yeah,
cameo of the day, right there.
there you go.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you got it totally right, man. And I remember that night too of playing, and it was just like so easy to vibe right away. Like we both locked in super.
Yeah.
You just felt the vibe. It wasn't about like where's the one or like
No,
where
yeah,
what has to
because
be played. It's just like it's an energy. We're on this flow, this light beam that's just like moving forward.
yeah, and low key, dude, I was like, I totally remember just being pretty stoned at that point,
Yeah.
and so like the
I think all
one
of us were.
the one wasn't even part of the equation.
Totally.
It was like, and that's why I feel like I can draw the point of it was all melodically driven. It's like I could hear your melody and say, oh, okay, these shapes go with that melody, or whatever, something like that. I always like to say I have this teacher that made it really clear to me when he would say, "Aw," when he would say,
Bye.
like odd meters are just shapes within shapes, or like to see a shape within a shape, a bigger, you know, counting the eighth notes in a bar of 4/4 as a shape within a shape,
Right.
So it's
It's all rates within some sort of momentum.
right. So I love it, man, and I think it's drummer composers, not just it's not just me that says this, but I hear a lot of people that say drummers are their favorite, write some of their favorite songs because they're so I don't know, they're it's like playing with a poker player that doesn't play poker. Like they do different things than you anticipate them to do, which makes it interesting, which makes it easier or more fun to play.
Right.
It's
I feel the same way about left-handed drummers. Like seeing left-handed drummers play, it's so sick.
yeah.
Especially when they play on right-handed kits, they play open. Kevin Higuchi, he's a lefty, but he plays on right-handed kits.
Wait. So he writes with his left hand, but he plays right-handed kit. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, man.
Man, yeah, I'm teaching a student that plays open-handed on a righty kit, like a Lewis Cole style.
Totally. Is Lewis Cole lefty?
Yeah, he plays lefty on a righty kit.
Oh, crazy! I didn't know that.
I've seen interviews that says that if he could do it all over again, he would just play righty.
Yeah.
I think it's. I'm not sure if it's been a crutch for him. I also went to school with the lefty who played open-handed, and when he would sit in on my kit, he would always put my ride cymbal on the left and my crash cymbal on the right. Well, because we all that's how we position stuff. It's like your main is going to be on your whatever main side, and your not main is going to be on your other side. So it's like it was always funny to me, but
totally. Man, you know what? I mean, we're kind of going off on a tangent right now, but it's funny because like it's some of the jams, Rosie's or other spots where you'd be playing in the house band. I feel like almost every time I go, like you had your drums slightly set up different, or you tune your drums like drastically different. And what I remember one time I was coming to sit in and I asked like, dude, your drum, can I move your stuff around a little bit? And you're just like, no, just go with it. Just go with it. And
Oh
I was like,
no!
wow, Matt is like really adopting this like play on anything. Like get that's what I thought to myself. I'm like this much, but it was really
That's cold of
inspiring.
me, dude. I'm not
No,
that
it
kind of
wasn't.
guy.
No, it wasn't cold. Like the way you were saying it was just like embrace something different is how I took it.
Sure.
And it's like even though it's a small little silly comment, it's been a little inspiration for me of just like it obviously like drums in every little degree and our physiology and the way we set up and our tendencies in life,
Mm-hmm.
um, have an impact on how we want to set our kits up, whether we're righty, lefty, whatever it be. But being able to adapt into any situation of just like any drum setup and degree of differences
Yeah.
or tuning, uh, we should be able to do it, especially,
Mm-hmm.
as we kind of evolve as players. Like maybe it won't be exactly how we sound or whatever, what we're going for, but um, you just reminded me of that because like maybe it's different now. I know you have a consistency in the way you set up, but like it's all also the heights that we have our cymbals and stuff has
Sure.
changed
Sure.
over the years. Like I remember it's kind of become a fad thing, like Eric Harlan sets his fucking cymbals up like 5 feet
Oh yeah.
above him almost,
High cymbal gang. Yeah.
and it's cool, man, because like I've explored a lot of it and you gain different things and
Yeah.
approaches when you set up your rigs different.
Yeah. I'm curious if you remember because I wonder if it was that's this thing at Rosie's you're talking about was the night that I had my toms all weird.
Yes, your
Was it?
low tom was like just totally like flub loose.
Oh yeah. And
And
was the rack tom on the floor tom side too?
maybe.
Because there was one night at Rosie's I was trying to pull some of that shit where like like you just have your two toms on the side, kind of like it's like where you would set it on the snare stand.
Mhm.
You just put it on the other
Yeah,
side of the bass drum.
yeah, I think that was one
I don't
that
know.
was sounds familiar.
Yeah, I had a teacher that would always say like you try to move something, try to position yourself higher, try to like because we get in the process of like when we have our sheds, like you do or like I do, like our drums never move, you know,
Yeah,
or the ones that we
totally.
play on they never move. So like you get so accustomed to that angle or that snare height or whatever. But yeah, like sitting. Kevin Higuchi actually hipped me to that though. He was like, play them as they lie, don't
Yeah,
and like if you have to move something, move something. It's cool. Like if you have to
right.
adjust the hat, so you don't want to stomp out the hat or whatever. Like, but yeah, I think there is a big point about playing, being able to get your sound out on any kit. It's like when you
Hmm.
see some of the greats. You know, I always equate it when I see people just shredding on stuff at Nam or something.
Right. They
And
just sit
it's like
down and they
they didn't
fucking
set
go
up
ham.
that kit. They just
Yeah.
get in and they just go, and I'm like, whoa, like you didn't move anything. You just know where it's
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
So
And there's truth to that, especially I mean, I'm sure like these people probably have been in a lot of those situations where they're going to their church gigs or situations where they're using communal kits and they just go and can
mhm,
practice that.
mhm,
It's so true. If we just sit down and always play on our static kit, because I always find myself kind of moving stuff or changing heights, and the smallest little increment, inspires different stuff.
yeah,
For me, it's more for that, like just in, tuning stuff differently or moving stuff makes me play differently. Um,
totally.
it brings different stuff out. So, and playing on other people's kits too, of course.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk about your kit. From
Sure.
yeah, what's your main kit right now?
See if you can. If this is
Oh yeah,
so
give us the tour.
this is my little 2 setups. I got this little mini martini kit.
Is that the sonar?
Yep.
Did Kevin get that for you?
No,
Oh, okay.
This is actually Lexi's kit. We got it off like OfferUp or some shit.
The 14-inch bass drum.
Yeah, they're fucking rad. But they're super tiny. I use this just like for either my kids' students or just kind of, on really low volume mini gigs, like when I'd go play Madison or something like that, I'd bring this little kit.
Oh, cool.
And I got a little signature Istanbul here. I love this ride, super dark. And then this snare here is an AOT snare, a maple AOT.
Uh-huh.
And
I don't know a lot about AOT.
They're cool. They're like a Canadian company that went out of business actually, and one of the guys that were building AOTs went and started making Tay T-A-Y-E.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard of those drums?
Yeah, they have similar fonts, so that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he went to that, but I bought this from a place called the Rhythm House when they were going out of business, and just got it pretty damn cheap. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking get this. So I got these AOT toms here, 12 and 14, and then the bass drum's AOT, and then my snare drum is a Ludwig Black Beauty.
Ooh.
And yeah, I love these things.
Man, I gotta get me a Black Beauty one of these days. I just grabbed the this hand hammered. I think you've seen it. Maybe the hand hammered brass Gretsch drum. It's like 6.5 by 6 by 14.
Crazy. I don't think I've seen it.
But it cracks, dude. But I remember when you got the Black Beauty and you were talking about the what was that? The like tight, the 10 lug snare tuning. You remember that video you sent me?
Oh yeah.
Where like the bottom 3 are just loose as hell, and
yeah, it's super trippy.
You tone with the middle 4, and then the top 3 are super tight.
Yep.
The trick.
Yeah, you can
throw off.
Kind of adapt it. Yes, that's what I was gonna say. This is clutch, man. This thing made my snare way better. Like the P85 or P86 or whatever throw offs, the original Ludwig ones.
They're
man,
trash.
They suck.
They're trash.
They're trash. Exactly.
Shout out Ludwig, you're trash. No, your snares are tight, your throw offs suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Sponsor the stream. Okay.
But no, they legit make a difference on every snare, man. You got to have a good throw off. I was really surprised, and the snares too. Like the coils themselves are huge.
Yeah, man. I had a trick throw off on. I used to have this SJC kit for a long time. And but I only used the snare drum because it was just a baller snare drum, all maple, blah blah blah, and had that trick throw off on it. And when I sold the kit, I had to sell the snare, but
that's a bummer.
I know I should have just taken that off. And I think about it, but I just wasn't in that headspace, man.
Right, you're just like, I gotta get rid of this shit.
I need the money, baby.
I need the money, dude. You seem like a day trader with your gear sometimes.
Bro, yeah.
you like upgrade and then kind of get something else and then you offload your other stuff.
Yeah, I sold a lot of stuff, man. I was on Bosphorus for 3 years and I got a lot of Bosphorus cymbals.
Rad.
And I have sold most of those cymbals except for one actually. The one I used on my on like my latest trio record, but yeah, people like Bosphorus. They're easy to sell. They're kind of like just like I don't know, like a fucking Honda Civic, dude. Everyone will always buy a Honda Civic, and Bosphorus is nice company. Someone will always buy a Bosphorus cymbal, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find any that like were just end all be all for me. It's so hard though, man. Like every cymbal company has like so much amazing gear, you know?
Yeah. Oh, Jackson's here. What up?
Oh, cool.
Konavet.
I'm just seeing some of these comments. Louis, I'm naked right now under my clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Louis is still naked under his clothes right now. But, anyway, yeah, man. So I feel like, we can go into cymbal talk because I love Symbol Talk. I just got this raw effects crash. A raw. Have you seen some of my other videos with that big old hunk of junk crazy Zildjian symbol?
I don't think so. Maybe not recently, but I
It's,
know like their effects lines.
yeah, it's the one from the concept shop part
Mm.
of their company where it's pretty much like it's like if you crossed a Crash of Doom with a big and ugly Sabian.
Oh, sick!
So
I love both of those.
yeah, so it's to me it's got the thinness of like a thin symbol, ride
Hmm.
symbol, but but a sustain of a ride symbol. It's nice.
That's what I love about this Istanbuls. They're like super thin and dark, but they don't get away from you. Like, look at this thing. It's just like
That's the anniversary line.
I think this is a signature.
Okay,
Wait,
is that a Agop?
yeah.
Agop, my bad. Yeah,
God.
with the green, dude.
You know how much I got this thing for?
Oh, tell me.
$100 on OfferUp.
Fuck you, dude.
I'm telling you, man.
Jesus. You know what I love about those symbols is that some people buy those and just like that, bro, they hate them.
Yep. And
They
that's
hate them.
exactly what this person. They were like hard rock country drummer. Like I can't play this thing. I was like, okay.
I'll give you $100.
Yeah. That's what he was asking for it. I didn't even like. I was like, sure, I'll give you $100 for it.
Dude, you could even just flip it for like 3.
Right.
Like,
and
yeah.
And I won't though. I love this thing. This is a keeper, long time keeper.
Yeah, I'm on OfferUp right now, searching for the Agops. There's nothing, dude.
Gear.
San Diego is not as dry.
I feel like over this last year, like the gear dried up because everyone's home, like just doing, their studies. Victor Baker, a guitarist and amazing luthier that I play with a whole bunch. He was a huge inspiration to me too, and I actually have one of his guitars. We kind of built it together. He said his year, the pandemic year, was an insane year for him. Like everybody was just ordering axes, because everyone's stuck at home and wants to upgrade their shit or on unemployment or whatever.
Yeah.
I
agree, man. I bought gear. Did you buy gear?
Did I buy gear? Other than I did. I bought a bunch of freaking recording gear.
Yeah, so did everyone else.
I bought like mics and fucking interface stuff and all that stuff. COVID was kind of like a blessing in disguise for that stuff. The first half of it, I was totally doing way more remote stuff, and I kind of on and off work with this guitarist named Fabiano de Nascimento.
Yeah,
and he's great, man. Super cool, vibey stuff. He lives up in LA, and that was kind of one of the cool projects. We got a video on a Tiny Desk at the NPR Tiny Desk thing, and
yeah,
he's been doing a lot of different stuff, and yeah, the recording stuff, man. But it's kind of tapered off. I want to like do it a lot more, and all the remote stuff I've been doing recording wise has always kind of been like a little under the radar, know. But yeah, I want to start doing it again more. Louis and I have been, throwing the idea around to just like finish this Abnormal Mammal stuff and like do it legit instead of just like go in and just live record and I'm sounding however I sound that day, sort of vibe.
Sure. Bro, I mean, Lou's trying to really like get people in. He's talking the same thing to Fresh Veggies, like, dude, just come in, let's do it. Like he wants to get at least some engineering under his belt. I know,
totally.
It's easy to place the mics,
Yeah.
and get all the rough takes of everything, and then just send someone else to mix it. Like that's
totally.
That's the hard part, in my opinion. Is the songs are written, cool, let's go. Like sometimes when I'm like and maybe you do this too. Like you got to think about how you're gonna record it and in what order you're gonna record it. Like I had for the Juicebox records. I would have to think about, okay, am I gonna do live solo, or are we gonna do pre-recorded solo? If we're gonna do pre-recorded solo, we got to make sure everyone's building. It's like
Right.
it's
You
a
got to
big
like create this painting.
yeah. I was just gonna say it's a big painting. You have to like think about and like really how do I say, just fucking plan out your moves. It's like chess.
Yep. Totally. That's something I did a lot of over the fucking pandemic, man.
Chess.
Chess. It's so funny because that show, the Queen's Gambit or whatever,
Oh
we'll
yeah.
take another little sidetrack. I feel like it like really re-inspired and repopularized chess, and like
Mm-hmm.
Ian Harland started kind of getting little chess hangs together, and Rob Dove when he was in town, and we'd all kind of like do it. They were doing it way more. I only showed up to a few of them.
Yeah, the jazzers of chess, the chess jazzers.
It's great though. I played since I was a kid, so it's always like really been there. My uncles would always play it. And,
yeah. Bro, I'm
fun,
staring
man.
at my bowling ball right here. If anyone wants to go bowling, I'll whip you in bowling, dude. But you can whip me in chess.
I'm a horrible bowler.
That's who
Like,
I want to play with. That's what I'm talking.
Next level horrible, man.
I was in a bowling
So
league,
funny.
and I took bowling in college. So I've been pretty about it. But every time I go, if I'm not like careful, I kind of get a pretty kind of a sore arm after.
Yep.
And that deters me from going bowling.
Yep. Every time I've gone bowling, I have horrible technique, so I always let go of the ball late, and I'm like stressing my forearm out every time.
Yeah,
I just
right here, all goes. But
have you ever done rock climbing before?
No.
That one, that is very similar. Actually, it's even more intense.
It's probably
but
even worse.
Your forearms, yeah, get super drilled.
I've had a friend that would like he was a rock climber. He would just clench his fist and he would say touch here, and it would just be a rock, dude. I'm like, Jesus, like what do you? I can't be healthy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It takes some pretty intricate minor muscle group control.
Right.
Cool. I love hearing about all the musicians and all the different or the musicians alter things that they do. Their skill sets outside of music.
Mm-hmm.
It's always cool.
The non-musical hobbies.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a trip, man.
Would you call capoeira a non-musical hobby? Do you still run that?
I haven't, man. I kind of stopped a couple years ago. Come to think of it, that's so weird. I mean, it is very musical in a folklore sort of way. It's all African diasporic, choral type music where it's all a mix of Brazilian Portuguese and native like Tupi and Guarani, like South American Brazilian people, and what's his tongue? I'll see it in a second. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of musicality, very communal based musicality, and a lot of it is oral tradition and singing about daily work stuff or nature or like just the human experience or liberating yourself. So the musical side of it is very much that. That's usually you have an instrument called a berimbau, which is a gourd instrument that has kind of this like long bow. Exactly. And then there's three different types. There's a high, like an alto and tenor and bass. That makes up the orchestra, and then you got a conga and a pandeiro, and they kind of I guess like I kind of detach that musicality from the stuff we do normally, because it's just a different headspace. Like musicianship behind it isn't the same. It's very, like I said, it's like very communal. So even if you don't speak the language and you can kind of just like hold a melody, you can kind of sing along stuff to it. And learning the instruments isn't too crazy in comparison, but most of that was like a very liberating aspect of just movement and being present and having a improvisational exchange through body movement with somebody.
Sure.
And it's great, man. Capoeira was like a huge, and still is a huge inspiration for me. I mean, I trained for almost 10 years and was kind of teaching classes on and off. Anytime I'd go on tour around the States, I'd always go to schools. I'd drop in on classes and train with different schools. And man, it's crazy, crazy, amazing exercise. And yeah, martial arts, man, it's an amazing practice. And the thing that I love so much about that form as opposed to like taekwondo or jujitsu or even kung fu, like I did some Chinese kung fu growing up as a kid. The thing that I love so much about it is like the technical aspect and improvising. And in that sense, like it is very, jazz in a way. You learn like your fundamental stuff, your chord changes, getting through, 12 bar blues or whatever, and all this different vocab. And it's the same with capoeira. You learn some fundamentals and you can exchange and move with somebody without direct contact. There's like takedowns and submission stuff that you can do in certain types of situations, but for the most part, like everybody wants to train together the next day. Mm-hmm. You want to prolong each other and like work together to like have vision and see where someone's tendencies going, or have this trickery in situations, and to be able to adapt in those high intensity emotional physical situations.
Absolutely.
So in that sense, it's very akin to a jazz jam or improvising, or like you have these sets of things. I really miss it. I kind of want to get back into it again, but if you don't train, it's easy to jack yourself up, man.
Right. Right.
You can get hurt. So a lot of the time, I avoided intense contact because of our lifestyle. Like I want to be able to. Okay, Louis, I'm seeing it. Tell me if this is better.
Dude, oh man.
I'm gonna lick it.
You're gonna lick. Ah!
I'm just kidding. It's probably bad
now. We had an earlier question from Jacqueline talking about how, you put stuff on your floor tom, man. What,
Oh yeah.
That's kind of akin to modern,
sure.
the modern drumming. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been putting on there, doggy?
So I got these different little bells, and a lot of it is like Balkan Indian inspired stuff. So this one is the main one I put on my floor tom. It's a
like jingle bells.
The jingle bells. It's actually a dance belt. You put it around your waist, and belly dancers or different types of cultures use these to dance with and be kind of body percussion oriented. And then this one is an ankle one, or you can wear it on your wrist. So they're really, I use them because I like the texture of them, either with a muted tom or a muted head. It kind of compresses the sound a little bit, and it gives me an extra tone on the drum. So without a towel, you put it on, it gives it more of a cracky sort of high-end frequency. But I really dig this stuff. Sometimes I put them on my hi-hats, and I guess it is kind of these days, like everybody's stacking their cymbals or trying different shit. it's really cool trying different, even just not even music related stuff, just like putting pots and pans or whatever you can find on.
Absolutely, dude.
It creates a really cool personalized sound. I think it's amazing.
You know, and
Seeing all these comments.
it mutes. You know, it mutes the drum a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly.
On some practical shit. Yeah, it's like you can have a really loose floor tom and put something on it, and it won't sound like a, I don't know, like a shit floor tom. It'll sound like a shit floor tom with some shit on it.
Exactly.
Fuck it, yeah. We're just a bunch of drum nerds out here, dude. We're talking about jingles, jangles.
You're welcome, Jacqueline. That's cool.
Yeah, man. You know, maybe
it's
we can
it's hard. There's a lot of stuff, dude.
Yeah. Did you ever fuck with double pedal?
I did for a little while. But I ended up my first kit I had a huge Yamaha Stage Custom, or like my first like cool kit was a Yamaha Stage Custom, and I had
what was your first lame kit?
My first lame kit. It was some like, I think the brand was called Gig, but it was like a PvP, like, you know, like a super shit knockoff, just rock kit, you know. And then after that, my mom got me this big Yamaha kit, and I had double bass drums, and then I got your files, nice. And then I went to double pedals because I was freaking sick of lugging around these bass drums, and then I was playing. What the hell was I playing? I was playing. I got into this band called Candiria for a little while when I was in high school, and they're kind of like Meshuggah-esque, but like a New York hardcore prog band. And I'd kind of play stuff like that, and then I slowly I had some bands that were like really into Dream Theater and Tool and that sort of shit, and
sure.
So outside of playing that sort of stuff, like I slowly started not using double pedals anymore, and I really liked the asymmetry of just like developing my left foot, hi-hat, and bass drum. And most of the time I was just like, man, I can't personally find ways to use this that I really liked, you know, outside of like a very short moment in a song, or like just fucking around.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
it's crazy.
The people that do it are amazing, though.
Yeah, I got a double pedal when I was like in 8th grade or something, you know, and I got it so I could play punk beats, you know, but like really fast, because you know, like maybe it's not punk to like be able to play fast punk beats with a double pedal, and maybe I should have done it single pedal, but like double pedal, like we were like when we were one of like the ska bands in town that had like double pedals and like breakdowns and like stuff in our song. It was so much fun. So I mean,
it's
dude,
powerful, man. It feels good. You can just freaking thrash and go for it.
Yeah, I still use them, man. I had a session that I had to do I don't know if you're familiar with the guitar band Pellini.
Yeah,
but I had to do it.
Or is it Pellini or Pliny? Is that a different band?
No, the same. Maybe it's Pellini, maybe it's Pliny. Who knows?
It's Plini, right?
Yeah.
Or Pline.
Plini.
It's like a math rock band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're sick. You did a session with them?
No. No, I had to record a Pellini song for a client who ran a guitar program who needed to have the drums so that their guitarist could layer over someone else's drums. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I had to learn a whole thing, and it's like had a pretty gnarly little breakdown section where it's like all these bands, it's funny, they all recorded 4, but they think of it as like a big 4-bar phrase of 4 that just like, and they just throw the snare wherever the fuck.
Right.
and it turns out it works. I'm like, okay, I had to like write it out, all that shit.
Yeah, that shit's dope, man. I wonder how much of it is like, um, it just ends up being that way from jamming, or if it's like through composed, like it's gridded out. I wonder how they do it. Like if you look at Meshuggah, like their shit is crazy, man. Some of their
Yeah.
cycles are like 32 bars before it fucking repeats, you know.
Right.
It's just like insanity. And like Tigran Hamasyan's kind of has similar esque stuff, but his is very much more like small phrase groupings in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. He's amazing, man. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a huge
Everyone he
inspiration.
plays with. Mm-hmm. Same, man. Crazy shit.
Yeah, you that video I posted for this stream is you playing that Tigran transcription.
Oh shit, the Vardivar one.
Vardivar. That's such
Vardivar.
Yeah. So dope.
Yeah. Yeah, I had been listening to it a while ago. I forget when I recorded that, but that was like yeah, that was like an honest just figuring. I had figured out like the main motif, and then I kind of started flubbing towards the end. Like now I feel like I could play it a lot better, but it's cool to just like share the process of that shit.
Damn.
You know.
Dang. I would love a revamp of that video, dude. You should do it.
Okay. I think Nate Wood is playing on that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Nate Wood. I'm pretty sure that was the drummer on that track.
I know he was on Shadow Theater, and he was on because Vardivar, that's on the one after Shadow Theater, right?
I think so. Yeah, he but let me look it up. I'm pretty sure Nate Wood was on that. It sounds like him at least.
It would make sense.
He's insane, man. He's a huge inspiration to me too.
Nate's huge. Talk about putting things on drums.
Yeah, he totally does. And all the I kind of discovered that he is a badass singer too.
Oh yeah. Have you heard all of his solo records?
I haven't heard all of them, but I just kind of like checked out some of his stuff on Instagram, and
oh dude, you
got
to listen to his solo records. Bass,
and what is he doing in those?
It's just all his singer-songwriter stuff. It's really good.
I gotta scope it.
I feel like yeah, man, he has like 3 records of his solo stuff. It's so good. I think at first, I remember when I first heard it, I was like, this is weird, and I turned it off. Yeah. But as I got, older and my ears matured, I think it's much more. I appreciate it a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you would appreciate it right out the gate, being a singer as yourself. Yeah, he rules. All his stuff, the 4 stuff is ridiculous.
4? Like
that's his solo project that he plays bass, plays drums, triggers synthesizers, sequences, and sings all at the same time.
Wow.
Crazy boy, that Nate Wood.
Crazy, man.
Yes.
Have you seen any of the shit of him playing bass for the Taylor Hawkins group?
Yes.
In the 90s when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck?
Yes.
He's got hair and stuff.
Dude, he's an Elijah Wood when he has hair on, but he's a Vladimir Putin when he's bald. It's kind of funny. Shout out to Nate Wood.
Story.
Come on the stream, Nate.
True story. That's so funny.
Nate Wood is I love that guy because he also went to CalArts.
Oh dang. I didn't know that.
A lot of the knee body people went to CalArts for a while. I know Ben. I'm pretty sure Ben Wendell, and just for a second though, Ben didn't stay there, but because I think he went to Eastman after that. But
I see.
But yeah, Nate went and graduated. Blah blah blah. Really cool to have. But they were all hanging, at CalArts back then when they were playing.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell, man. There's such a unit. Like all those, it's like a conglomerate, like Ben Wendell and Nate and isn't
Kave.
it wasn't Jared? Yeah.
Kave
And
and
wasn't Gerald Clayton part of that whole scene too, or no? He's like later.
Well, I wouldn't know if Gerald Clayton played on. I think Adam Benjamin plays. Well, I know Adam Benjamin plays with Kneebody. But I
Right.
would say maybe in the same class of musician in LA. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man, they're all mega inspirational. I recently, or not recently, probably a half a year ago, I checked out that video of the knee body like musical language stuff. They did like a
Oh yeah,
workshop masterclass thing
I've
about.
seen that one.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. And I feel like we all kind of gravitate towards things like that, but they like took it to their own next level, you know?
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're crazy. Apparently, they would come to Cal Arts every year for a while, and they would talk about their musical language. They would do like a big, a weekend or something at Cal Arts, and they would do a thing. But I never got to
Yeah.
see them there. A little bit of a
Yeah.
bit of a bummer, but that's okay.
I hope to scope them live one of these days or meet those peeps, man.
Oh, you haven't seen them?
Not live.
Oh,
No.
dude, dang, you missed out. Yeah, Juicebox got to open for them at UCSD once.
What? Dude, that's amazing.
It was killing, dude.
Holy shit.
I got to backline Nate Wood. It was like actually very tight.
That is so cool.
He liked my kit. I felt good about
Nice.
that. Felt good
Nice.
about that.
How old is Nate Wood?
That's a good question. I would say he's in his early 40s.
Yeah.
No, that's a quick Google.
What a trip, man. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What else, man? I feel like it's so
He's
I
41.
thought 41.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, to kind of backtrack though, I thought like, oh, 2 hours is gonna be enough, but so much there's too much stuff to go over.
Bro, we can go for hours, man.
In a way. I know.
It's a good thing.
It's crazy.
It's,
Yeah,
it's the improv of jazz, man.
Totally. Well, let me kind of just like because we only got a little time left. I want to at least like give a shout out because yeah, after like backtracking timeline wise, after the whole Latin Jazz Orchestra, Kevin, and all them,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I ended up meeting Rebecca Kleinman and through Dusty Bruff. I met Rebecca Kleinman, and then through playing with Rebecca, I met Danny Green, because Rebecca had thrown a show together at the old Dizzy's when it was at the Culinary Institute.
Yes.
And she hired Danny and Kevin and Steve and Dusty to do this show. So Danny and I kind of hit it off right away after that. And yeah, I guess that was like 2012, 2011-ish. And at the time he was playing with this drummer, Dylan Savage, who ended up leaving town because his wife like got relocated or something for work.
That was Gil's drummer for a long time too.
Yeah,
at the Onyx Room.
Yeah, he was great.
Killing drummer.
Super.
Killing drummer.
Really
Where
cool.
you at, Dylan?
I know. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's all good. I didn't really know him at all, but yeah. But after that, that's kind of when everything started with Danny, and then Danny and Justin had been playing for a while, and Danny started kind of diving deeper into the Brazilian music. Like I had been playing a lot of Cuban stuff, and kind of grew up around it from South Florida. My mom's from Cuba, and yeah, I kind of had this like weird, colorful inspiration or input of all these different cultures growing up. But Danny kind of brought the Brazilian stuff way more into the limelight. And then we went to this place in Cazadero in Northern California called California Brazil Camp, or Jazz Camp.
Right.
And then I studied with this guy Marcio Bahia, their drummer, left-handed drummer, who was Hermeto Pascual's main drummer for like 20 years or so. And then he played with this mandolinist named Hamilton Giolanda, who's great. It's like almost contemporary prog jazz, Brazilian jazz stuff. So Marcio kind of like introduced me to a lot of like the folklore
Mm-hmm.
side and percussive side of applying all that stuff to drum set. And I got to study with him just intensively for a week, and then got into all this other Brazilian stuff with Danny. And Danny, I feel like was to kind of go backtrack to a your question about a turning point. Danny was a very pivotal person in that, like as a teacher, as a friend, as an educator, as like someone that was just like so type A personality, like has his shit together, like amazing in
Mm-hmm.
everything he's doing. He's very, very
Focused.
inspirational,
Sure.
so focused for what he wanted to do, his sound. And as a writer, I had such an affinity with him. He comes from a very, I mean, we come from similar places as far as like music that we listened to growing up and inspiration. And I think even from a compositional standpoint, like being very um, driven by like the arc and music and melody of a tune. Because Danny, I feel like, or from what he's said is, he learned theory and stuff way late. And going into college, his reading and theory understanding was very, very beginner level. And then he got more into it. So like in that realm, we connected very easily as far as like being writers and playing together. And then Justin, of course, too, which I wish we played more of his music, man. Justin is an amazing writer.
Justin is a great writer.
Fuck, dude. Super, super cool. So like playing with them and recording these albums over the years and touring together, I learned so much from him. And he like really, I feel like also, was the connection to Peter Sprague and playing with Peter and getting on that platform. And then through Peter, I played with Jeffrey Keyser for a little while he was in town. Dude, that fucking guy.
That's insane, dude.
He's a monster, man.
Can't believe you waited this long to drop the Keyser.
Well,
that's another. Hold on, I thought this light was gonna be good, but that's not good.
That's cool.
Yeah, dude. I also, when Keyser came to town and he picked you, I was like, what? What has Julien got? And it turns out you have so many things to offer after today. But tell me about the Keyser, man.
Man, honestly, to tell you the honest truth, I felt like I was totally out of my fucking zone. Like he is just next level, I was like, I was asking myself, why the fuck is Keyser calling me for this gig, honestly, because I knew he'd been playing with Tyrion, and like just heavy dudes like Vinny Colaiuta. He's like Sting's fucking, backup keyboard or pianist,
right.
Just like super high profile. But Keyser was so humble and so cool and such like a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, just like initial shock, I was just like, oh damn, like can totally hang. This feels great. Like I understand what's going on, and like I'm not shitting my pants, playing with this guy.
I find that people at that caliber, they're always really easy to play with. They're never hard to play with.
Totally. There was no weird vibe or anything. We even would hang after gigs. We'd go out to dinner and kick it and like do, chill together. And those gigs were some of the, like, as far as just straight up chops and like, he's one of a kind, man, playing. And I don't want to say regret, but before he left town, he had called me for several gigs. Like it seemed like, oh shit, maybe this is going to be kind of like a thing, maybe it's going to be a little bit of a break, or next evolution. And there was 3 or 4 gigs I had to turn down because I was on tour, or I had a gig already booked and I couldn't sub it out. It's just like kind of just like bad timing, you know.
Sure.
And then he left, and then he started. He went to LA or something, or and was bouncing between LA and New York, and he started hitting up Christian Human
Right.
for the gigs. And man, Christian is
What a great
beast.
drummer.
He's amazing.
Gotta
And he
get
plays with
Christian on the
Jacob
stream.
Collier now, and
Yeah.
really cool, humble dude too. Just like badass person. So yeah, I was like, oh man, maybe opportunity lost, but it's all good. Every now and again, we'll kind of connect. And you know, I think a big part of that was playing with Leonard and playing with Peter, and we did this like tribute Rebels concert where I got to play guitar with Peter, and we did
Cool.
some of my tunes, and Danny charted them all out. And yeah, and then I don't know, man. There's just been, I guess we're kind of going to be wrapping it up soon, but it's kind of just been like since that time with Danny, you know, playing with Victor, and then kind of very slowly the Abnormal Mammal stuff coming to fruition. It's like
Mm-hmm.
just cycles, and then
Well, man,
you know,
what about, I mean, too, like, you have, yeah, the Abnormal Mammal stuff coming out soon.
yeah,
And I think, you know, I'll speak for everyone that knows of that band, like, what a sick project. And you gotta get that stuff happening, baby, because we want it.
thanks, man.
We want it, dude.
Thanks, man.
And you let us know if you want to premiere some of that stuff on the stream, on some low
Sure.
key stuff, dude. Because we want to, you know, prop you up whenever we can, dude.
Man, Matt, I appreciate it, and Louis and Kevin too, man. Like, you know, Louis, and you know, let me give a shout out to Michael Hayes too. He kind of like
Mike Hayes. Yeah,
yeah,
I gotta give
he
it up to
kinda-
Mike Hayes too, man.
he kind of started that stuff, and he gave me a lot of inspiration just to like start doing it too. And Louis too, you know, Louis just like become a saint to the San Diego community with the live stream stuff, and he's become so busy, so it's been tricky. I feel like I kind of go in cycles of being really inspired and just like, oh my god, I want to do this stuff, and then where I'm just like, I just totally neglect, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm just like, I want to shed. I'm teaching. I'm like getting through the pandemic emotional states and just trying to stay,
Yeah.
you know, solid.
Well, maybe what you do is you just go in there and you hit one, dude, and you get, you know, I think it's possible to get most of the parts done in one day if you're trying to get it. And
Yeah,
then you see how that
absolutely.
process is like, and even if you hate the recording, you can try it again. But
Totally.
yeah, dude, if you
Sure.
with that too, then you can just play everything.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you can play all the drums, all the guitar, all the bass if you want to, you know.
Yeah.
But
I got to get Louis to do it. I could play his parts, but I want the Lou dog on it.
I feel that, dude.
and Kevin too, man. Like I love his playing and working with him. I think for the first album though, like once I get it done, and from people I've played with, I just want to get it out there. A friend of mine who's a great guitarist, Chico Pinheiro, and we've played a little bit together, and he's been a huge inspiration for me as far as like Brazilian jazz stuff go. Like, and he knows some of my music kind of low key, and he's just always like, dude, just record all of it. Just like do it. You got to get your stuff out, and then later people could play, you know, it live or later on down the line.
Right.
Just like do your first one. You know, but everyone knows you for a drummer, and for the most part, like do your first one.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, man,
Crazy.
it's probably a good time to put a button on it at this point.
Sure.
But let's want to give a big shout out to everyone that's been here in the chat. Lou, Convet, Jacqueline, rather. Let me read here. Who's still here?
I know we didn't really respond to any of the
Academy,
messages, but it's good.
Academy Possible, Carbot, Commander Root, all y'all. It's kicking it in here. For all y'all that don't know, we do this every Tuesday at noon. And man, we're on episode 20. This is awesome. Next week, 21 with Matt DiBiase, Plexus Play.
Woo! Yeah.
It's gonna be
Dude,
baller.
I forgot about him too.
Yeah.
The community, man. We're all playing together.
Yeah. It's San Diego's super special. I'm gonna try to get as many people on as I can here from my hometown. So for everyone that's always wondering who these people are, there's just so much talent in San Diego, and there's not enough time to interview them all, but we're gonna get them here. So if you're and again, if you haven't followed us on Twitter, please do that. We do have a donation tab on our About section, which does help support the stream. Domain names aren't cheap. We do have www.thedrumstream.com where you can see all of our past episodes. This one will be up on YouTube. Jules, hope that's chill.
Totally.
And, all right, and you can all see all our stuff there. We have our own channel, The Drum Stream. Just type it in. You know what to do. And so I'd like to thank Julien for hanging out with us all this time. Thanks to the chat. And we'll see you guys next week. Boom!
Thanks so much, Matt.
Yeah.